Hey up everybody and welcome back. Right, well there's nothing special to tell you this week. We've got some more new subscribers, lots of comments which I've been answering, and I hope everybody's satisfied with the comments. I either answer them in the comments themselves or during the videos. As you can see, Oppo here was relieved of his little predicament from last week, so he's happy but taking things steadily. And since we got all the frame done, what we're going to do this week are the two side panels, which we're going to make out of sheet aluminium. So let's get stuck in, cut some cardboard, cut some aluminium, and see what we can come up with. So let's have a look at this top corner first. I want a piece. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. So there we go, we want a piece to fit in there. That was fortuitous, to say the least. And then we'll cut it off, something like that, so I have enough to overlap. Right, I'll stop you there. Now I've cut that more to a workable size, and what I've done is knocked a hole in it and put a bolt in, so that'll hold that there while we work on the next one. We'll do the other top one first. Let's have a look, see what we've got here. Now this one, you see, has got that angle in it, so I'm gonna have to come up. Let's do that first. Just cut a bit out of there. Get ourselves something like, and we want it to start at that corner. It's going to be somewhere close. There's another bloody lorry. Guess what? We're going to get another 3 inches of snow tomorrow. We've just started to get rid of it as well. Whoa, look at that. Okay, now then the next piece is we want it to go inside there, so let's give ourselves a little mark because we can see the tube, so we want to be from there to about there. Generally with these, the sort of 5 little cuts, you do 4 of them perfectly, you do the last one and you're miles out. But that one isn't too shabby, so again let me mark it, put a hole in, and I'll put a bolt in. Alright, I'll show you how I mark it. It's really very technical. You put that on there, like that. You find something suitable to go through the nut, and you go like that, and stab yourself in the thumb. Now we have a little mark, alright? And there's another one bolted in. I was just thinking, you know, when I've cut the aluminium, what I might do is put one of those little rubber trims right around the edge. Might look good. Okay, let's look at the bottom one. Alright, now that might look as if it's a bit of a big piece of card, but believe me, when you're dealing with angles that diverge, you can get stuff done and you suddenly realise when you get to the outsides that it doesn't work. Now that wants to be about like that. I'm going to do it. Whoops, this is just not quite steady. Are you still there? Yep. I'll put my pen down now. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we'll do the same again here. Look, we'll mark the line of that so we can see it. So when that goes on there, that wants to be like that, up to like that. So, draw a little line between those two marks. Sure you know how to draw a line. We'll cut that, and then we'll slowly start to get to the size we want. Alright, so that goes in there now like that. So once again,
mark where the bolt hole is going to be. This one's a bit awkward, there's something in the way, so that might be a little high. Right, let me, by the way, if you're wondering how I put all these holes in, I have a set of punches. So let me do that. Now there's the third one bolted in. And maybe you can see now why I do it like that. This, you see, is going to have to be curved round like that. That is going to have to be curved round like that, but that one's to stay straight. That one's almost straight. So trying to do that and cut one piece was a little bit difficult. So what we'll do now is I think I'm going to cut some straight strips and tape them on. Tape them on like that. Tape them on like that. And then we'll see about trying to get this... See, if that's right, we don't have to worry about all this curving part. We can do that. We can finagle it when we cut the alloy and put it on. So let me cut some strips. Now when you're doing stuff like this, pardon me, have your bits of tape cut, because there's nothing worse than getting ready and then thinking, oh, where's the tape? So I learned that from when I was at teacher training college. God, that's 50 years ago. Oh, holy smokes. Anyway, one of the people there went talking about lesson plans and said, remember the basics. For instance, if you're doing an audio visual thing, find out where the light switch is, because you don't want to be switching it off, the lights off, and then falling over people trying to get back to the projector, things like that. So this is just, I don't know what made me think of that, but anyway. So we want that to go around like that. So let's stick a bit of tape on there, and then we'll stick a bit of tape on there. Now then, it's starting to look something like, people. See? Right, now then. Is that long enough to go? See, that bit's got a bend in. It's going to be wobbly. We don't want it to be wobbly. So, actually, I'm using up the side pieces off my my breakfast cereal. I'm very good, you know. I eat breakfast cereal every morning. Well, nearly every morning. Here's another little memory for you. I worked at British Steel for about 3 years, number 9 rolling mill. You'd come off night shift and you'd go to the canteen and you'd have breakfast, and it'd be all fried, of course. Bacon, sausage, eggs, fried tomatoes, baked beans fried, and fried bread. And that is why I am so fit and healthy now. Alright, here we go again. Cut our little bits of tape. Just one little bit. Another little bit. Right, now let's get this so that it's going as close to that as we can get it. As you'll see, I'll put tape onto all the seams and both sides to really stiffen it up, to make it a good firm template. Then that, you see, now how do we want that to go? So it's got a bend in it here. I maybe should have cut that so that I can... Cutting a little bit for there. You've got to try and keep this stiff. you want it to be formed the way you're going to form the, the aluminium. See, that's that's proven to be a little bit awkward, but with the alloy, if we put a bend in it, of course, it'll stay there, unlike this cardboard. Alright, let me cut one last bit. And the last bit gonna go in there. Like that. And that. And there we have our template for the alloy. This, as I say, is the only bit that's a little, doesn't quite follow that curve. That follows that one nicely. This is fine because it's straight. That's straight. You see, we need to, we'll cut nice little corners, of course. But that, as I say, when we've made this and I curve it a bit at this side, I can make that fit in there. Alright, I'm going to take this off and, oh, pardon me. If it's not me teeth whistling, it's me coughing. I'll take it off, I'll tape it up more so it's nice and stiff, and then we'll come back to it. So, here it is, all taped up. I like to put lots of tape on because now you see that's as rigid as if it was cut out of a piece of solid. I've put some curves on. I use something round to do that because, believe me, oh, I've covered a hole there. What was I saying? Oh yeah, believe me, you do them freehand and they look great, and then when you look at them you think to yourself, oh, no it's not. One side's a bit curvier than the other side, and then you compensate and suddenly you've cut half an inch of metal off trying to get it back. So it's a lot easier if you just find yourself something, a suitable roundness to it. And see if everything went right. That should go in there. Now then, that is bulging out too much. So actually, you know, we might be able to see, now we can't bend that in, that's too long there. Basically it's just, if I make the hole a little bit to the right, see, I can force it a little bit with the cardboard. Oh, excuse me. Because of course, once I cut a big sheet of aluminium, I don't want to be drilling the holes in the wrong places. Although of course, you know, you can always weld them back up and drill them again. I've done that before. So that's pretty damn good. Obviously it'll sit differently when it's more rigid, and it'll be a bit thicker, so the curves will be slightly different. But that definitely needs to go in a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is cut it there, overlap it slightly and tape it up. So let me go and do that. Now we'll try again. Oh yeah, that feels much better there. I cleared this hole out a little bit. Okay. Now then. That's maybe a little long as well. See, it's bulging out. It should bend. No, don't like that. I've cut out a piece of alloy roughly to what we want. So we'll mark this out. We'll cut on the outside of the line. Give ourselves just a little bit. Okay, let me go and cut that out on the bandsaw, which is very noisy, so I won't film it. Right, first fit. Okay, now as I say, I cut outside the lines, so ease a little bit there. That and just take this off on the sander. That looks alright. I'm just going to ease that there to get to flop into there. Let me do that. Now I've worked on this top corner a little bit to take the sort of curve of the bronze in, and that piece I marked, I've slowly worked that off. So we're actually going in there pretty nicely. Now then, we seem to be a little wide here, so I'll take a little piece off here so that we can get it to slot in there. Although it's not, might be more than, actually, it's the curve. So where's the curve? The curve starts, oh, I can't get the top of the pen. The curve starts basically there, and the curve of this one starts here. So let's try putting a little roll in that. See if I can keep you in view while I'm doing all of this. So I've put something with a nice curve there. Because we don't need too much. See, we're just putting a little bit in at a time. As always, you've seen this before, you don't go mad. Let me walk round to that. Okay. Now this isn't much more of a curve, that wants to be in here. But then there's a curve here as well, so let's work on that as well. See? I've got to put more of that curve in, and then it'll probably bring that top curve closer in. In fact, I might even have too much then. So let's... Oh, you hear that? My elbows. Now then, that's getting there for that. You see, this is right out here. We've got to make that curve in. Good. Why did you decide to do it this way, Michael? I've got to get that to bend from there down like that. I might have to rubber hammer this. In fact, I might even end up having to anneal it a bit. That would certainly make it bend easier. Boing! Do you know what I am? I'm going to anneal this part here. Now, I've seen this annealing process before. We're going to heat it up until the felt tip marker disappears. I've got a feeling this video is getting to be long. Right, there it's disappeared, and as you see, I've only really annealed the piece that I actually want to curve, because I don't want this to be flopping about. So we'll keep that reasonably stiff, soften just this piece. So let's let it cool down now. Right, I put a pair of gloves on because aluminium heats up really quickly, but it takes forever to cool down. So let's see, what were we after? We were going from there to there. Tell you what, that hasn't softened that much. Also, I'm trying not to put a crease in it. Right, that is bent a bit too much, that top corner, so we'll straighten that out a little. See, that top corner's in there beautifully. That needs bringing in a bit. Well, that curve has given us a gap here. What a pain in the arse that is. Right, I think what I'm going to do now is mark these two holes and then see if we can't form this. Doesn't look bad, does it? Except for this bit here. If the very worst came at the worst, I could weld a piece of alloy on the front. But we'll bear that in mind. Let's do that one and that one. So I'm going to put a little bit of the die chem on, so there and there, so I can see what's what, and then I'll mark it. Alright, see if I've drilled these holes in the right place. As I said, I marked the backs with some die chem, and then just as I did with the cardboard, I put it on and marked them through the nut. Well, that one looks alright. But then the first one always goes in alright. Sometimes even the second one as well. Or if there's 16 holes, 15 of them will line up, and number 16 won't. Come on now, let's slacken that off. So we've got some wiggle. No, that's catching just there. So let me ease a little bit off that. Just there, probably not quite well, it's the curve, see? Curves change straight lines, so let me ease that off there with a file. We'll try again. I put that one in. Oh, I'm a fraction out. Bugger. I have to take a little bit off the top of there as well. I'm just, whoa, stop waving about. I've got this chopped up. The hole is a fraction to the right, but with that pressing up into there, that is just, so let me work this, and then we're going to have to do a little bit there because of the curve of that. Right, these two now fit. So let's see what happens when we pull them up. We're very close here. That needs some taking off because we're in tight, but we're not up against the backing. Got a gap there, which is a bug, but we'll deal with that. So, let me walk around so I can see the back of this. I think we just need to do a tiny little bit there and there, and that will drop in. It's about 1/16 of an inch. Then that's not bad. Then what I might be able to do, actually, as I say, is ease some off there, and if I put a black trim on, I can even take 1/16 off all the way around, put a nice black trim on. Would that look good? I'm not going to tell you what the colour scheme is. I've actually changed it because I had one colour in mind, and then I saw something the other day and it reminded me of a bike I must have seen, God, 40 years ago in motorcycle mechanics, and a colour scheme popped into my mind. I'm not going to tell you what the colour is. Frame, swinging arm, forks, everything else is going to be polished. Side panels, airbox, petrol tank, rear mudguard, and front mudguard. So let me, what am I going to do? Oh yeah, let me take a little bit off this and a little bit off there. Let me mark these so that I don't forget. That just wants to go very slightly like that, and that wants a bit, that wants to go more. It's just for the weld, well, the bronze. Right, let me do that and I'll bring you back. Now I've shaped this a little bit more and I drilled the hole in there. So let's see what it's like now. Fit in nicely to the flat where they should be. Oop. So we still have this little gap at the front. What I'm going to do is this should fit the other side just about perfectly. When I cut the next one, actually you can see, look, there's a curve in there now from when I did that. Maybe that was the problem, I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, I'll make it, this part here up to here, that bit wider. It's not much, it's, excuse me while I stick my head in the way. Well, actually it's 1/4 of an inch at the top, going down to next to nothing. So I'll make an adjustment for that. And if when we put the other side on, it fits perfectly, what I'll do is I'll weld a little strip onto that. I'll show you if I do that. If the other one comes out the same, then to be honest, I think I'm going to leave them. I mean, they don't look awful. But if I get the other one to fit nicely, as I say, I'll glue. What I'll do is I'll glue like a glue. I'll sort of weld a 1/2 inch strip on so that I've got plenty to weld to, and then we'll trim it back to the right size. So let's go around and see about making up the piece for the other side. Now I've cut a piece out for this side, and there you can see where it goes on the other side. I've given myself that extra 1/4 inch. So let's try fitting this in here. Okay, so first off, let's take just a smidgen off the top and a little bit off there. We'll straighten that up, and yeah, we'll take a little bit off there. I'll do that on the belt sander so I get a nice straight edge to it. Now I've done the first bit of shaping with this, and also I've used a carbide grinder to go out and take out the sort of bump of the bronze there. So that fits in nicely there, fits in there. So now we've got to start doing this bend and see if we can get it to go in there. I think I'm going to have to take a little bit off the top. but I'll start to bend it from there, and the bending starts there. So let's see if I can curve that to go in there. You saw that last time, so I won't bang and thump and show you it again. Now the next place we seem to be catching, just as I'm curving this in, is just here. I'm not going to touch this part up there, but I can definitely see that that's got to go in there a little bit. So let me take that off. Now that is getting that in there much better. So now we've got to curve this, not so much that curve as inwards, which is following this line. So let me go and give that a bit of a push that way. I'm beginning to see where we went wrong on the other side. See, that's fitting in. Look, that is following that, and this now just wants easing a little bit there so that can go in. We're starting to follow it right, and I think I'm maybe about due to put these two bolts in so that that won't move as we start to work this. So let me just bring that out a little bit like that so I can fold it in that way. Now we've got the top in nicely, the bottom in nicely. That's going to be eased a little bit more, but I don't want to touch that. So there's still this to go in. That needs to be bent in towards that a bit. And as you can see, then that is going to be closer to the original curve. So I'm going to take some of that off there. So that'll push into that corner. Now then, this is almost spot on. It just needs this edge again, and it just needs a little. I think what we need is that to roll in slightly. You can see it's up to the edge of that. Slight gap there, which I can't do anything about now. It's amazing, you think you're up against something, so you ease it off, and then when you get it in somewhere else, you didn't need to. See, that one's a closer fit down there than that one is. I think with the bolt in there, that'll make that fine. And then later on, I'm going to work on the other one to get that right. If need be, I'll even cut a new panel out, because I can always use the alloy for something else. But that is about as close, I think, as I can get that. So let me mark it. I've already put the die cam on the back. Okay, I'll drill a hole in that and then we'll see how it looks. Alright, let's see what happens. You know, every time I move, a bolt or something disappears. I have 3 bolts and 3 washers here, right until I want to put the 3rd bolt in. Where the hell has that gone? That seems to work better. Let me go and get one. I tell you, I found the washer, but I couldn't find the bolt, so I walked over and got another bolt, and as I came back I got right to the table and my foot kicked something, and there it is. Isn't life amazing? Well, the hole's in the right place, that's a plus. Why doesn't that want to go in there? I'd run a tap through all of these. Let me look at this hole. Right, I had to run a tap through the nut. Okay, it's just touching there. So I'm going to put it on the belt sander and just take a little bit off. And we'll see what happens. It's on and off, on and off, on and off. I think it's just this little bit here because I just tried to bump it in and it sort of put a dent there because it's catching. So it must be just catching there. So let me ease that off. There we go. That one actually fits. We've got a little bit of a gap at the top now, of course, on this one, which we don't have on the other one. But other than that, that one is pretty good. So, I haven't got time to do the repair on that, but we can do that anytime. Now we can put the frame back over there, get the forks and the swinging arm and what have you in, ready for me to do the wheels. Okay, so that's it for this week. Can't think of anything else to say, can't think of anything special I have to do, so you just go off and enjoy yourselves.